Hi everybody, welcome to English for You. I'm Pat.
And I'm Mike.
And today we're talking about Iceland.
Ooh, all right.
So we're going to find out some interesting things about Iceland, maybe reasons why you might want to go there. Do you generally prefer to visit hot or cold places for a vacation?
Oh, that's a good question. I guess it sort of depends on what the weather's like here in Taiwan. In the middle of August, I might be very interested in going to a colder destination because it's so hot here. But generally, I like cool destinations. You know, I often like to visit Japan and Korea, which can be hot at times, but certainly not as hot as Taiwan usually is. But recently, with with COVID being so long and us being stuck at home so much, the idea of a nice warm beach on a tropical island where I can sit there with a drink and a book and watch the waves, that would definitely be a hot destination. And something about that is just calling to me. So I don't know if Iceland will be on my my next travel list. How about you?
Definitely hot. When you grow up in Britain and you don't get summer, then you always want to go somewhere hot. Vacation to me means going somewhere where the weather is better than the UK, which is everywhere, really.
That's a good point.
But what are we going to learn about Iceland? Let's check it out in day one of our article.
Reading.
Things you may not know about Iceland. You've likely heard of Iceland before, but how much do you know about it? Here are some facts you might not know about the Nordic country. Many Taiwanese people say winter is their favorite season. But in northern countries like Iceland, winters can be long and hard, with few daylight hours. Many Icelanders take a vacation to escape the winter misery, but that's expensive. After the 2008 financial crisis, times were tough and people had to save money. In the northern town of Akureyri, the government wanted to bring more joy to people's lives. To do this, they used heart-shaped traffic lights. These glowing lights remind people of love, help them forget their sorrows, and put smiles on their faces. Beer is Iceland's most popular alcoholic drink. For a long time, however, beer was illegal in Iceland. But in 1989, it became legal once again. This historic moment is celebrated on Beer Day, which takes place on March 1st. It's celebrated in Iceland's many bars, restaurants, and clubs. In Reykjavik, Iceland's capital, revelers are known to go on pub crawls, drinking numerous beers as they go.
Our article starts by saying you've likely heard of Iceland before. Yeah, true. But how much do you know about it?
Not very much.
No, it's kind of up there in the north of the world.
That's right.
Iceland, I'm presuming it's cold.
It's cold. Its capital is Reykjavik, but I can't spell that. In fact, there's many places in Iceland whose name I probably can't spell. So I know the language is quite unique. But yeah, not very much. I think that's how most of us would answer this question if we're being honest. How much do you know about Iceland? Not very much. Well, don't worry, because as the article says next, here are some facts you might not know about the Nordic country. So, fact, information, we're going to be learning about this place, Iceland, and here it's described as a Nordic country. When we see the word Nordic, we're using this adjective to describe, well, people, places, kind of in the northern part of Europe. When people think of Nordic countries, they might also call those countries Scandinavian countries, Norway, Finland, Sweden, these types of places, Iceland. I guess technically Canada could be a Nordic country. It's kind of in the north, parts of Russia. But most of the time when we hear Nordic, we do think of Scandinavia. We think of those northern European countries.
Okay, so, well, let's start with the weather. That's a pretty good place to start.
Sure.
Climate, what's it like there? The article says many Taiwanese people say winter is their favorite season.
Winter in Taiwan or winter in Iceland?
Winter in Taiwan, I guess. It's one of the time of the year when it's not really hot and sweaty.
True, that is true, yes. Winter in Taiwan is more like the end of summer in many of these Nordic countries. But in northern countries like Iceland, winters can be long and hard with few daylight hours. Yes, as I just explained, winter in Taiwan and winter in Iceland are completely different matters, very different types of situations. The winter in these northern countries, whether they're Nordic, whether it's northern Canada and on Russia and places like that, the winters are long and hard. When we say hard here, we mean difficult. It's a hard kind of weather to live in. Your life is made more difficult. The winters are long. They often stretch from sort of October, November through to April or even May. And as many of you probably know, there are few daylight hours. The sun goes up very late in the day, only stays up for a few hours, and then goes down. So it's dark most of the time. That's what happens in northern areas of the world. And when we use northern as an adjective, we're just talking in, around the north part. So Canada's a northern country. Sapporo in Japan is the northern part of Japan. So anything in the north or of the north, to use the adjective form, would be northern. And our example sentence goes to Japan. Sapporo in northern Japan has great skiing during the winter, whereas Okinawa in southern Japan, the opposite, has beautiful warm beaches.
Okay, and of course Mike spoke about daylight, very few daylight hours. And the daylight just means the light of day, the light of the sun. And it's in Taiwan, it's basically the same amount of daylight hours all year round.
Doesn't change too much.
Not much, but certainly in the UK, Canada, and definitely in Iceland, you get a lot more daylight during the summer, but a lot less during the winter.
Absolutely, and that can really have an effect on your mood. It's not just about, when the sun comes up. You can find your mood affected. People in Taiwan know when it rains for 2 weeks and it's dark and cloudy, it does affect your mood and your emotions. So that's part of the reason we read many Icelanders take a vacation to escape the winter misery. Many Canadians take vacations to escape the winter misery, but that's expensive. Yeah, absolutely. It costs a lot of money to travel, especially in the winter when many other people are traveling, but it is something people like to do because living through 5-6 months of winter can be hard. It can bring a lot of misery to your life, for sure. And what exactly is this type of misery we're talking about? Well, it's sadness, it's depression, it's unhappiness. Misery is just bad stuff in your life. You could have misery from all sorts of reasons. If you're having problems in your personal life, if you're arguing with your boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, parents, siblings, brothers and sisters, that can bring misery. If you have an injury, I got a sore tooth. My tooth's been bothering me for 5 days and the dentist is too busy to fix it. I'm in misery. That would be another kind of misery, living with pain. It's probably living with some kind of terrible, really troubling situation in your life that you can't do much about. That will bring you a feeling of misery, sadness, and suffering. For example, the war. The war brought great misery to all the people of that peaceful country. It was dangerous. People were getting killed. Nothing was the same. The destruction, terrible sadness, and misery. So having family problems can bring misery. Having medical problems can bring misery. Or money problems, right?
Yes.
If you don't have enough money for your life and you're always worried about how you'll buy your food, that would be another kind of misery. And they've had financial or money problems in Iceland too.
That's right. We're talking about how people wanted to go on vacation to escape the winter. It's expensive.
True.
And then we see after the 2008 or 2008 financial crisis, times were tough and people had to save money.
Yep.
So no expensive vacations in the sun for them because times were tough. Here we're using the word tough to mean difficult. It's challenging. Things are hard to get through. You might have to go without things you like. You might not be able to do everything you want. It's just not fun to get through this particular time. For example, after his father got sick and his mother lost her job, Hector's family had a tough year or two.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, no real money, always trying to save, having to sell some of their possessions. So what happens then in Iceland if people can't go on vacation?
I don't know. It's definitely tough or hard, as we mentioned earlier when we used hard, talked about the long, hard winters. You could say the long, tough winters where people had hard times because of the financial difficult stuff. So yes, what did people do? Well, it says in the northern town of Akureyri.
Sure, why not?
Akureyri, all you Icelandic people out there, please let us know if we're saying this word right. We're taking our best guess. In the northern town of Akureyri, the government wanted to bring more joy to people's lives. Well, sure, if you're having tough or difficult or hard times, one of the things you would love to be able to do is bring joy to your life or joy to the lives of others, bring great happiness to them. So, what did they do? How did they bring the joy?
The article said to do this, they used heart-shaped traffic lights. So nothing too big, nothing too crazy, just this simple act of making the traffic lights red, orange, green in the shape of hearts.
Okay.
It's kind of nice.
It's kind of nice, kind of unexpected. It would definitely put a smile on your face, even if you were having a hard or a tough day. And as it says, these glowing lights in a nice heart shape, these glowing lights remind people of love, help them forget their sorrows, and put smiles on their faces. Why? Just because. It's a nice thing to do. It was a simple thing to do. And hey, it might make people even just a little bit happier when they see these glowing lights as they drive around town, both at night, all the time. Because when we talk about glowing, we talk about something that is shining, light is coming off of it, but kind of soft light. It's not really bright, harsh light. If it's a sun on a sunny day and you need sunglasses, no, that's not glowing. Think more of a moon on a moonlit night, right? You can look at the moon and it won't hurt your eyes because the light isn't that powerful. It's glowing. Or think of a small light that's, out there at night, surrounded by black, surrounded by darkness. And there's that little light and it's having this soft light coming from it. It's glowing. Here's a good example. The presents looked beautiful under the Christmas tree and its glowing lights. You never put really bright lights on a Christmas tree. No, they're soft little lights so that they glow.
Yep, and these glowing heart lights help people forget their sorrows. So the word sorrow can mean sadness. If you're feeling sorrow, it's the emotion. I'm very sad about what happened. Something has upset me. We can also talk about people, like in this article, forgetting their sorrows. In this case, it's a countable noun, and their sorrows are the bad things in their life, the things that are making them unhappy. Your sorrows could include a difficult relationship, a job you don't really like, a great deal of homework that you have to do. Those are your sorrows. Maybe you've lost somebody in your life, you're fighting with somebody and their friendship is broken. Those are your sorrows. And of course, a nice light will help you forget some of those. Here's an example sentence. Valerie felt great sorrow when her pet bird died. If we're using the other definition, we could say, the Christmas lights helped everybody forget their sorrows. So here's another way that some people deal with their sorrows in our next part of the article. It's a special time for everybody in Iceland.
Okay. So if the glowing heart-shaped traffic lights aren't enough to raise your spirits and lift your sorrows, how about a beer? Beer is Iceland's most popular alcoholic drink. That's why young people shouldn't be drinking beer. I don't know what the drinking age in Iceland is. It's probably around 18.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was a bit lower.
You think it might be a bit lower? Okay.
They're a bit more kind of liberal and open there.
All right, so it might be younger than 18, but most countries in the world, it's around 18, 19, something like that. So beer is Iceland's most popular alcoholic drink. Young people, this is not for you because we're talking about a drink that is an alcoholic drink, meaning it has alcohol, meaning we're talking about things like beer, wine, whiskey, gauliang, that kind of stuff. Not for young people, but for older people, it's something that they can enjoy if they're careful with it, for sure. But I didn't know that. I wouldn't have guessed that beer was the alcohol, the national or most popular alcoholic drink in Iceland.
Well, there you go. But as the article says, for a long time, however, beer was illegal in Iceland.
Illegal? Against the law?
Yeah, to buy beer, to make beer, to sell beer, all of that was illegal. It was against the law. There was a law that said, no, you can't do this. If we catch you doing it, you're going to be fined. If it's serious, you might even go to jail.
Interesting. Now, maybe wine and whiskey and other stuff, that was legal, but for some reason, beer wasn't. There's going to be an interesting story there. But of course, this is in the past. And then we learned, but in 1989, so not too long ago, it became legal once again. So 30 or so years ago, beer became legal once again. So it was legal, then it was illegal, and then they made it legal again back in 1989. So that's what we learn, of course, because they're using the phrase once again. So it's the idea that something happened before, and then maybe it didn't happen for a while, and then it happened again. So, for example, in the world that we live in today, traveling easily around the world will hopefully once again become something that we can all do without masks and quarantines and, all the rules that we have. So convenient, easy travel will hopefully once again become something we can all do.
So beer became legal again, and as you might imagine, a lot of people were happy about this.
Okay.
And the article says this historic moment is celebrated on Beer Day.
Beer Day?
Beer Day.
I guess that's like a holiday?
Yeah, it's not the most creative name, but it does the job. Beer Day, and the article says, which takes place on March the 1st. So happy Beer Day in March, Iceland.
Incredible.
In that sentence, we said Beer Day takes place on March the 1st. To take place just means to happen. We use it for either giving the time, the date, or the place where or when a particular event is going on. The party will take place on Friday. The party will take place at 7 o'clock. The party will take place at Ryan's house. All of those are ways we can use take place. So, how do you think people celebrate Beer Day?
Well, I'm not sure, but I can imagine it's involving drinking beer. It says that's Beer Day. It's celebrated in Iceland's many bars, restaurants, and clubs. Yeah, places that people will drink beer or other alcoholic drinks in places like bars and places like restaurants along with their food. And clubs, I imagine here they mean nightclubs, the kind of place that have music, dancing, drinks, and stuff like that. So basically, people go out and have a big party and drink some beer.
Sounds fun.
Yeah.
And so in Reykjavik, Iceland's capital, revelers are known to go on pub crawls, drinking numerous beers as they go. So here we've got a few things to look at. We've got the word reveler. A reveler is a person who is having a good time, someone who is having a party. They are engaging in revels, which is kind of an old word for having fun and dancing. And they go on pub crawls. A pub crawl is when instead of just going to one bar and sitting there and having beers, you go to one pub and have a beer, and you go to the next pub and you have another one and a third pub, moving through town. I'll also note that we don't often use beers as plural. You often think of beer as an uncountable noun. It's a liquid after all.
A glass of beer.
Exactly. But when we use things like that and we give them an S and make them countable, we just mean glasses or cups or something like that. If I say I've had 3 coffees today, I mean cups of coffee. So numerous beers means many glasses or cups of beer. That's what numerous is.
Absolutely. And yes, revelers are the people who do this, people having a good time. You might say, oh, and China, New Year's Eve, Taipei 101 fills with hundreds of thousands of revelers there to celebrate the new year. Another way of saying a large number of revelers would be numerous. Numerous beers, numerous revelers, and numerous clubs and pubs are serving beer in Reykjavik. We mean a lot. Numerous means many in number or a large amount, something like that. It's just a nicer way of saying many or a lot or something. For example, just after we felt the earthquake, numerous phones in the movie theater started to beep. So not just one, many of them. The number's not important. That's why we'd say something like many or a lot of or numerous.
Okay, we've got some more to learn about Iceland in part 2 of our article tomorrow, but right now it's time for us to go to our For You Chat question.
For You Chat.
Pretty simple question for today's chat question. Would you like to go to Iceland? Why or why not?
A place that's really cold, lots of ice and snow. I kind of come from a place like that. So, yeah, I'm interested in it. And I know, of course, there's a lot of amazing things to see there. The glaciers and the geysers and all that kind of stuff.
Big hot springs.
The hot springs. But it wouldn't be in my top 5 places to go, mainly because I would feel the weather is too much like the weather back home. How about you?
Yeah, I would probably like to, I'd visit it. You'd want to visit pretty much any country at some point, see what's going on.
True.
Eat some shark or whale, which is some of the things that they, as part of their food there.
Just tastes terrible.
Just to try it, really. I'm pretty sure I think my mum's been to Reykjavik, and I think she had a good time. So, yeah, go there, check it out. But like Mike, it's probably not on my immediate must-go-to lists, because I'd want to go to somewhere hot, somewhere warm, somewhere where I can kind of relax a bit more in nice weather.
Right. And you can get beer in other places too.
That is very true. Thanks for reminding me. Okay, well, that's all the time we have for today. But join us again tomorrow to learn more about Iceland. See you then. Bye for now.
Take care.
Vocabulary Review.
Northern. Not many people live in northern Canada because it's cold. Most live in the south where it's warmer. Misery. If you don't earn enough money to pay for basic things like food, you'll probably live in misery. Tough. Mark was in a tough situation at school. Other kids often laughed at him because he was short. Glowing. After the power went out, we could see glowing candles in our neighbors' windows. Sorrow. Vera's mother tried to cheer her up and help her forget her sorrows by taking her on a trip. Numerous. Meryl Streep is one of the world's best actors. She has won numerous awards for her movies.
智慧小补帖
Nordic. Daylight. Alcoholic. Reveler.
以上节目是由活用空中美语制作，活用空中美语杂志，请洽询全国各大书店。如欲索取试听教材，请来电02-2364-4000 02-2364-4000，或上网查询，网址是 www.english4u.net www.english4u.net